I keep thinking about wanting to turn it into an art studio or something, but I kind of want to leave it as it is. For the same reason, wouldn't, if I found a megalithic site, I probably wouldn't want to make it into a tourist spot or something. There's some kind of the psychometry in the stones is probably best left alone out of respect for her. I bought this place not knowing that a witch lived here. It was like a few years later I was told that. And it's a good opening to this video. Now, paganism will be the future of the world. And I'll tell you why I'm not bothered by things like jihad or Islam in terms of it having long staying power. Is the same reason I'm not bothered by the other Abrahamic religions, is because everyone on this earth is a pagan. Every single human being on this planet, Europe, North America, South America, Africa, Asia, the Middle East, they're pagans. They're pagans who have forgotten they're pagans. And how we win them back is by making them remember. And the reason and the method we will use to make them remember is simply awareness. The Abrahamic religions have no staying power. They have no method of staying power based on their Middle East origins. The only reason they've been able to survive is because they've had to leave the Middle East. Christianity is a good example of that. Christianity came to Europe, and the Europeans quite rightly saw it as a crazy cult that worships a dead man on a stick. And the Christians realized that they had no future in Europe. So what they did was they took all the European holidays, Christmas, Yule, Easter, Ostara, Samhain, All Saints' Day, and so on, and rebranded them as Christian holidays. And they did the same with Christian saints. Many Christian saints, the early ones anyway, are nearly all pagan deities. And that's the only reason that Christianity managed to survive, was by betraying itself. Christianity only survived in Europe because it was treasonous to itself, because otherwise it would have had no staying power outside the land of circumcision and goats. Islam is another one that doesn't bother me. The reason why, of course, I'm bothered by Islam here and now and jihadism and things like that, which is not typical of all Islam. Let's be honest here. Most Muslims do not involve in things like that. But the reason why I'm not bothered is because we will own their grandchildren. If you're a Muslim and you're having a child, I can guarantee you that child will be pagan. And it's quite simple, really. The whole jihad fundamentalist stuff that's coming out of Saudi Arabia is what's going to destroy Islam. At one point, there will be young Muslims who will totally reject this radical Islamic thing that's going on right now. Simple reason, we can offer them 72 women on this earth rather than 72 imaginary virgins in heaven. And that will be a huge selling point. It's really simple. We're going to take back those Muslims in Europe and turn them all into pagans. But they're already pagans. When you see the Hajj and they're marching around that big black cube, inside that big black cube is a rock that their pagan ancestors worshipped. Again, Muhammad, just like the Christians, nobody wanted to hear it. Pagan people knew it was bullshit. He had to co-opt existing pagan beliefs. The same thing with Judaism. Judaism is Canaanite paganism that was rebranded and especially made into something really crazy by the Talmudic rabbinical sects while the Jews were captive in Babylon. This is why I had to laugh when I had all these so-called truthers a year or so ago all going crazy about the Temple of Baal being reconstructed in London and a few other places after ISIS had destroyed it. Temple of Baal, Satan, all this crap that they picked up by all the uneducated simpletons who are their truth gurus over the centuries, as well as various British Israelites and so on, who have as much as intelligence as no intelligence. The Temple of Baal, the only reason these dumb truthers and these dumb truth gurus think the Temple of Baal is something wicked is because they were regurgitating rabbinical Talmudic script, trying to get the Jews not to run back to the the golden calf and the graven idols of their pagan ancestors, which they did in the desert as soon as they realized that Moses was a lunatic. Abrahamic religions have no staying power. Paganism is still here after countless millennium. We don't have to be confrontational with people from the Middle East and their Middle Eastern religions. All we have to do is be ourselves. And this is where a psychic war of sorts comes into focus. You may be concerned about radical Islam and jihadists operating in your neighbourhood, whether you live in a British or an Irish or a French city. Rather than joining a bunch of Abrahamic muppets like the Britain First or the EDL, how about you start spray painting Wotan and the names of other pagan gods and goddesses around the neighbourhood? Let's see what the reaction is then. You see what I'm getting at? Why keep being played into the old Abrahamic bait and switch when you can bring out something much better? Could you imagine if in Egypt people returned to worshipping the ancient Egyptian gods? Could you imagine somebody leaving the Temple of Thoth and wanting to blow up a Christian Coptic church? They wouldn't be bothered. And there's hope, because we have a situation in Greece where paganism is returning in Greece. It's only one step away from that, to Hermeticism and then the revival of the ancient Egyptian gods. With the success of naff TV shows like Vikings and the much better The Last Kingdom, we're seeing a revival and an interest in Odin, Wotan, Thor and so on. It's coming back because it will never go away. Because we are the only ones who can point to our gods and goddesses, here's one right here, as living forces of nature, as living dynamics of the universe. We don't have a picture, we don't have a holy book. What we have is the natural world around us. It works, it functions, it's beautiful, it's tangible, and it's real. Think about it. If you're an Abrahamic right now, we are going to own your grandchildren. And they will worship, no matter what part of the world they live in, the old gods and goddesses. The time is right. You have no staying power. The game is up, and it's only fundamentalism, racism, hatred and sectarianism that has managed to keep you going. In Ireland, Christianity would have died centuries ago if you didn't flood the country with Presbyterians and get the Catholics and Protestants to stupidly fight one another. You would have died. You gave them false paradigms and false armies and false gods. It's over. You've been found out. The internet, the arts, humour, the truth, and most important of all, nature will be the weapons that we will put you out of business. We're not going to fight you. We have no interest in fighting you. It's time to return back to what you are supposed to be.